Happy Saturday and welcome into the Awesemo.com UFC live before lock shows. We're here to get you ready for today's UFC Columbus, which starts 1 hour from now with the prelims. And then, of course, the main card headlined by a heavyweight matchup between Curtis Blaydes and Chris Daukaus. We are sponsored by PrizePicks. Come up here later on the show. We'll give you some PrizePicks plays. We talked about Ilir Latifi on PrizePicks. That number's actually gone down on significant strikes, so you know where I'm leaning on that one. Of course, as always, I'm joined by the fighter Pete Rogers Jr. Pete, how you doing, brother?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us here on Saturday to discuss this volatile card. It's one of my least favorites, to be honest, but there's money to be made. We have some leverage on the field and some edges to discuss, but yeah, let's get into it.
Of course, if you got any questions, you can leave those into the chat. Of course, if you do leave a super chat, your question does go to the top of the queue. And be sure to smash that thumbs up button. We always appreciate the likes that we get over here on YouTube. It helps out that YouTube algorithm so more and more people can see us here on YouTube. Of course, if you're not an Awesemo Plus member, you want to get a little peek what's behind the paywall today. Today's free premium data and tools are NBA player projections, NHL ownership projections, and MMA fire ranks. Of course, you also got the podcast giveaway going on. Leave a 5-star rating and review with your Awesemo username or Twitter handle, and you'll be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Pete, I want to bring up a question that got brought to me earlier today over in Discord. Who do you want to get to as a under 8,000 play more? Max Griffin or Kai Kara France? And like, I feel like if it's a GPP question, I think it's Kai Kara France because of if he can catch Askar Askarov, knock him out. But like, I feel like cash, the safer option to go with is Max Griffin. And you brought up a very interesting stat about Max Griffin right before the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with that and say that in cash, Max Griffin could possibly win a decision here. I'm not expecting that fight to end inside the distance. He hits really hard, obviously, and he seems to he's on a heater right now on a nice 3-fight win streak, but he has landed some knockdowns in some fights. I mean, one knockdown against Carlos Condit, one against Song Kanan, one against Thiago Alves, one against Mike Perry, and 2 against Zaleski dos Santos. So the guy hits really hard. And, Neil Magny can get chinned at times. If you do touch him, you can bury those leg kicks into his calf and whatnot, and possibly hit him with a big right hand. But, Magny's so tricky. So I would still lean in Kai Kara France for GPPs because, despite how active that division is, he hits extremely hard for it. And Askar Askarov is at an extreme disadvantage on the feet. Like, I think that Kai Kara France will make him look foolish on the feet if it's there for prolonged amounts of time. So the GPP pick would definitely be Kai Kara France.
Sam Pierce, I appreciate you with the super chats. We'll get right to your question. Matt Brown or Dana? Man, I feel like if that's a GPP question,
yeah,
I might, because the ownership is very similar on both of them. But Dana, I think if he does win, I think it is via knockout. But I would probably feel more comfortable going the Matt Brown route just because I like his chances to win in that spot. And I do like Chris Gutierrez against Dana.
Yeah, I don't really think that answer is all that close. As in my mind, it's not. I made a group over on Awesemo.com using the Fantasy Cruncher tool, and it was getting to that Matt Brown Barberena fight in almost all of my lineups. I just view that fight as an extremely volatile option where somebody's going to get knocked out. So in a circumstance like that, I'm going to say Matt Brown in that 1-for-1 comparison, because I can see Dana Bakary and Chris Gutierrez kind of going the distance and it being like a kickboxing sparring type of match. Yeah, Dana hits really hard, but Chris Gutierrez can really limit your upside with those tremendous calf kicks and low kicks. So I'm excited to see the fight. I'm expecting a very weird slate. And that's where I think even a low scoring fighter could possibly make it into the optimal lineup.
I think one of those things with a low kick, and you can talk about this a lot he could take out that lead leg of Dana and really limit the power that he does have.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me personally, I love kicking and I love going up against guys that are too heavy on their front leg. And a guy in Dana Bakary who really likes to throw hands and throws at, with exceptional power. He could be a little heavy on his lead leg. And that's that's perfect territory for Chris Gutierrez to employ that game plan. But it does come with some danger, right? Like as you leg kick, if you're going against a very powerful puncher, you have to be wise to their power because counter shots are right down there. Sometimes fighters will eat a leg kick, especially if it's early on and it hasn't really started to build some damage. They'll just eat the leg kick and bury a big power shot right down the middle. So there's gives and takes for both of it, and I can't wait to see the fight. I feel like that might be a fantasy disappointment. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, I mean, it's like a striker's paradise. I can't wait to watch it.
You know, one of the things is I look at this card and I was, looking at ownership projections a little earlier on today. I will tell you, I mean, there's not a lot of things I love when we're talking about ownership that's less than 20%. But to me, like, because one of the things I'm always when you're an Awesemo Plus member, you look at those ownership projections. One of the things I tend to do is I just tend to sort it in multiple different ways. One of the ways I'll sort it by salary because I'm looking at who are the 9,000 fighters that may be a little bit lesser owned than other 9,000 fighters. I mean, look, there's certain fighters that I know I want to get to today. If you listen to a strategy show, you know exactly who those two fighters are. Yeah. But like someone like an Askar Askarov could be a really interesting GPP play if he's able to land multiple takedowns that we have seen in his previous UFC fights.
Yeah, so I was talking to all of our members over in Discord about it, and I feel like the chalky build will definitely be pairing Curtis Blaydes with Aliashab Hizariv. And I think that's going to be like the chalky build. But, I'm going to get above the field with Hizariv because DraftKings completely screwed up the pricing, right? Like he should be 96, 9,700. They completely screwed it up. You're getting a minus 1,200, minus 1,000 favorite at 9,300. It's quite ridiculous. So he's kind of like my no-brainer. And, I think that I'm going to get to him more so than the field, like extremely. And then that's where contrarian pivots can come into, consideration where like a Curtis Blaydes, maybe he lands takedowns, but doesn't end up finding a finish till the third round. And maybe he doesn't end up paying off that price tag. Whereas like a contrarian pick of Askar Askarov, I like what I saw in the Joseph Benavidez fight where like he's going to need to get takedowns to avoid the danger. And when he does so, he's like a back hunter and he's constantly circling for the back. And, even trying to set up a rear naked choke. And we have seen Kai Kara France is somewhat susceptible to that position, gives it up quite easily. So I did most of my lineups, obviously have Curtis Blaydes and Aliashab, but there is a portion of my lineups where I did a little contrarian pivot and I got off Curtis Blaydes and I went to an Askar Askarov just because I think there's upside there.
Yeah, especially with those takedown abilities.
Yeah.
Scott, I appreciate your super chat. He says, quick rank as MVP. Blaydes, Askarov, Brown, Magny, Karev. To me, Blaydes would be number one. Karev would be number two. Number three would be Askarov, 4 Brown, 5 Magny.
Yeah, so for me, it's no brainer. Hizariv is number one for me. I will then say Blaydes is 2. Askarov is 3, Brown is 4, Magny is last. I predict the Magny fight to go the distance. So Hizariv in that group right there, he's going to be the chalky one, but I think it's deservedly so. Like there's plenty of takedown upside, there's KO upside, finish inside any way he wants to get this done. His opponent hits really, really, really hard. He just needs to avoid that big right hand, but I love the matchup for him, and I think that this guy has the goods.
You mentioned about Hizariv and Blaydes. That's going to be a popper combination. And I will tell you flat out, I went with that in cash. Yeah. But I will tell you, once I locked those two in, I'm like, okay, I gotta be looking under 8,000. And I was like, I want to put Matt Brown in there. And it's like, you sit there, you say, man, who do you have the most comfortable with? I mean, JoJo Wood, the one thing about her is volume. This is not a matchup where you don't expect, Grosso's a kickboxer, so you expect this thing to play out on the feet. Kai Kara France, I don't really want to get there in cash just because of my fear is he just gets taken down at rinse and repeat. I don't trust Latifi or Oleinik, either one of them.
Oh. Really? I love Latifi. I love Latifi today.
In terms of GPP?
I do. I actually think that I don't think that Oleinik's, he has a selective way of winning, and I just don't see the path against Ilir Latifi. Short neck, good wrestler. He's not going to take him down, and he's susceptible to getting knocked out on the feet, and Latifi hits pretty hard. It could be somewhat of a low volume affair, but I think that a KO from Ilir Latifi isn't all that crazy. And that's kind of what I'm banking on for some of my lineups. I like Latifi a little bit more than the field.
Yeah, I don't know.
I get it.
Latifi at heavyweight, I don't know. There's something that just concerns me there. Borshev Diakase, I feel like is a fight that you do have to prioritize in terms of GPPs. I think someone's getting finished that fight. I just don't know. I'm kind of thinking it maybe happens later in the fight as opposed to earlier in the fight, but potentially maybe you can rack up some combinations there. Max Griffin, I don't mind getting into it in cash. Sarah McMahon, obviously there's takedown upside, but if she can't get the fight to the ground, I have massive concerns. Gutierrez, like, to me, that's more of a cash play than a GPP play, just way that the fight feels out. Jennifer Maia, really don't want to get there. I'll have a sprinkle on Matthias Nikolai, and I do have a sprinkle on Bruno Souza, but that under 8,000, there's just not a lot that this is a week where it really sticks out to me.
I have an ungodly amount of women's MMA today, and I'm taking some shots on some underdogs that could possibly come through. I think that Joanne Wood in a kickboxing atmosphere, I think that she has, the skills to win a decision. I do think that she has, some wrestling as well, but I just feel like they're both going to be nullified in a situation like that. And I just like the kickboxer versus the boxer in Alexa Grasso. Grasso has some kicks and everything, but I just think that, it's more suited for Joanne Wood in a situation like that in a high volume affair. I got to a decent amount of Sarah McMahon, today, just because I don't personally want to get to Oleinik. I can see why some people might want to, in case that he can get like a rear naked choke or land a big shot, but I'm getting to Sarah McMahon because there are still some questions surrounding Carol Hosa's strength of schedule within UFC. And also there's levels. And if you look at Sarah McMahon's, who she's fought, her resume, she's fought some legitimate competition. And then she kind of lays an egg after dealing, having great round ones. She comes out there and she looks dominant against damn near everybody. And then in rounds 2 and 3, when she starts to face some adversity, she kind of falls off the rails. And I'm a little worried about that happening again, but I feel like there is a path to McMahon just getting on top and just being too much for somebody. And, Carol Hosa can defend takedowns, but defending it against Sarah McMahon is a different level. And that's why I'm just taking shots. I'm taking shots on a couple people. I feel pretty confident in some other fights. And then that's where we, making groups on Awesemo.com, using a fantasy cruncher tool, combining that with the top fighters tool, just trying to get different from the field. And that's kind of where I'm going today. I'm not in love with the slate, to be honest, Jason. Me, I usually play pretty heavily, but this week I'm playing a little bit more selective, a little bit lighter, and just trying to be a little creative with my combinations.
Yeah, I was going to try to pull up the site. I'll look for it as we go on here. But, the one thing that always concerns you about women's MMA is they do tend to go longer fights. Yeah. I remember one time that it was 66% of the fights were seeing, over 10 minutes of the fight. So that's just one of the things that always kind of that sticks out to me. But by the way, just to kind of throw a little number out there so in 2022, in terms of fight outcomes, 40% are ending in TKO KOs, 29% in submissions, and 29% in total decisions.
That's kind of crazy, right? Isn't that it's weird? It's just been people have been bringing the fights, man. Ever since the COVID era, everybody's been hungry and kind of chomping at the bit. And this week we have a ton of women's MMA on the card, so I think upsets are more live this week than some other weeks. I'm not necessarily saying a Jennifer Maia upset, but the other two I can definitely see.
Yeah, Fight Matrix is a really good website to go to in terms of kind of these percentages and historical stats and whatnot. But it is something that I definitely do pay attention to. Of course, baseball season is right around the corner, and we have got a promo going on right now over at Awesemo.com to lock in Also Plus MLB Annual Pass. You can save 25% when you use the promo code Trout, like Mike Trout, all caps Trout, at checkout to get player projections, ownership projections, top stacks, top pitcher tool, and more for the entire MLB season through the playoffs. This offer will drop to 15% on April the 1st. So take advantage of this right now. Use that promo code Trout. MLB season is here. And of course, I know my guy Pete, that's one of your favorite DFS sports. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, for sure. I love baseball. I mean, that was my first love. And, I had aspirations of playing baseball. And then when that fell short, I remember just walking into my dad's gym, dropping my bag down because I didn't know what else to do. And I said, I'm here. And that's when I started fighting. And and then now we're here today working for Awesemo, Jason and I doing what we love, breaking down the fights for you guys. Extreme support from the community. We truly appreciate it. So you guys are the best. If you can hit that like button, get us up over 100 likes, we truly appreciate it.
I mean, is Pop still rocking those lawnmower 300s?
Of course he's rocking.
Is that what you called him? Oh,
yeah, yeah. Those New Balance, whatever he's got, those lawnmower 350s. Yeah, of course.
Don't worry. In my Facebook memories, let's just say a photo came up of you of when you had your pandemic haircut, where you decided to shave the head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, every now and then I get the itch, just let it go again. As we get older, I don't know, man. The bald head isn't for everybody, but sometimes you got no damn choice. So we'll have to see.
Look, as long as I have hair, I'm not rocking the bald head, but I will not be that dude that's bald on the top, hair on the sides. No, at that point, it's all coming off. Yeah. Sam, appreciate you with the super chat. Sarah McMahon or Kai Kara France. And
I feel like we might differ in this. We might differ. Who are you going with?
It might be McMahon because of the takedown potential.
It's McMahon for me. Like, if you said what's crazier, Kai Kara France upsets Askarov or McMahon upsets Karol Rosa, I think like the way that the community is viewing Askarov, that would be a bigger upset than McMahon kind of derailing Karol Rosa in women's MMA. So I say the pick's Sarah McMahon. I think that the takedowns could be there. So that's my lean in a situation like that. Great question.
Here's my fear with Sarah McMahon.
Oh, I got fears, bro. I got fears too.
No. Like, say the fight's going the way you would hope for if Sarah McMahon's in your life, which means she's going takedown city route. Fight gets out of the second round. Does she got the gas tank for minute 11 through 15? That's my fear with Sarah McMahon in an ideal scenario.
And that's in a situation like that, right? Then neither fighter would be optimal. Like even Karol Rosa at her price point, like gets dominated in round one, maybe tail end of round two starts to come alive, gets a finish in round two or round three, scores 85, 88 fantasy points at her price point. It's just not going to work. So that's where, like, I'm not necessarily skipping over Karol Rosa, but I recognize the value attached to McMahon. And I think that she would do better in a win than Karol Rosa will.
It leads me to think of this because I've had this internal question for myself as I was developing my lineups. How does Alexa Grasso be optimal?
Wow, that's a great question. How is Alexa Grasso? Well, she got to knock her out, right? But
to me, it's got to be, you have knockdowns, knockout. Like,
let me see.
That's because I was sitting there going, and this was even before I looked at projections of ownership projection, because my thought was like, okay, maybe Alexa Grasso is that leverage play, because like if this is a 15-minute striking matchup, I just can't see her being optimal at that price point.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know how I think it could happen. And it's because Joanne Wood has like low fight IQ, in my opinion. Sometimes she just makes terrible mistakes and even like just terrible career choices, like, basically losing out on that title fight in order to just stay active. Now she completely derailed her career. I think a situation of how Grasso will be optimal is finding a submission finish, because she actually, in all of her UFC fights, has not found a knockdown. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights, no knockdowns. But she has attempted submissions against Macy Barber, Carla Esparza, Carolina Kovacevic, and Felice Herrig. So Joanne Wood is susceptible to getting submitted on the mat. I definitely think that could be a sneaky route, and maybe that's more like a wild long shot prop that I'll probably target. This is a week for me where I'm going fight by fight. I like it from a betting standpoint a little bit more than from DFS, but there is some money to be made, and I can't wait to see what the optimal lineup is going to be at the end of the night.
Yeah, there was just some fights that I looked at and I was like, I just don't know if I want to get there.
Uh-oh, we're getting some news.
Okay, I'm searching this. I've not seen anything related to what people in chat are saying.
Well, I'll tell you what, DraftKings has Latifi Olenek as postponed. Legitimately, like
I'm looking, I'm searching Twitter. I have not seen anything.
And usually DraftKings is like the last people to know about something.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not even seeing anyone in the MMA media talking about this. If it comes, if I've got my Twitter up here, so if I see it, but if someone in chat has seen something, shoot me a link. But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything on that fight being canceled. Doesn't mean it's not. I'm just saying I have not seen anything that indicates that from a reputable source.
Yeah. But bro, why the hell they got to do this to me?
I'm not too worried about it because I don't have much on the fight. So,
well, Jason, you know what? Why don't you quiet down over there, okay? Because I like Ilir Latifi today. DFS King tells me to fill in for Latifi. How about hell no? That's like 100 pounds more than what I'm capable of.
Pete, I think you can handle it.
Until I see something from a knowable source, not what's listed on the DraftKings website, that's what I'll look at. But right now, I've not seen anything from anyone, and people who are in Ohio are I haven't seen anyone who's there in attendance saying that the fight's canceled at this point. But if I see it come through, I'll let you know.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, but right now, I mean, literally, I did a search on Twitter. There's nothing popping up.
Yeah, I just did the same thing.
I've got my timeline up here. If I see something, it'll definitely pop up there. But let's get into some questions. Of course, if you want to hit us with the super chat, your question will go to the top of the list. Tony says, "Am I have recently biased for thinking France versus Askarov should be a pick'em?" Yes, you are.
A pick'em? I think the odds are a little crazy. But I don't know about a pick 'em. I think that it should be like a 2-to-1 type of situation, maybe like a -180 for Askarov. But I do agree that the odds are kind of getting a little out of hand.
I just think it's one of those things of I just don't know if Kai Car France can keep fighting the feet. That would be my concern.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh my God. Piojo YT says DraftKings is tripping. They have Askarov's face on Borishev. What's going on? Yeah, so I don't know either. That's quite hilarious.
There was someone last week they had the wrong face on as well. I forget who it was.
DraftKings is tripping. I don't know.
Let's see here. Kind of scroll down the questions here. As I kind of scroll down some questions, mentioned about some other fights here. Saldana Bruno Souza is a fight that I was looking at this morning going, I hate playing the first fight of the night, but like, I feel like this could be critical to our lineups.
I think it might be. And I like Bruno Souza just from an unknown factor. And also because I do think that he has the grappling edge. And from what I saw in the weigh-ins yesterday, I thought that Saldana looked like trash. He looked like a guy who damn near killed himself getting onto the scale. I thought he looked emaciated. I thought he looked his elevated heart rate, like all things that I know to look for. I thought that he just looked like completely out of sorts, and that does not bode well for a guy that has struggled with his cardio. I think that Souza will dig to his body, and I do think that Saldana has shown that he's susceptible to getting rocked or hurt to the body as the fight plays out. So, yeah, I like Bruno Souza. It's just his style of fighting is not necessarily a strong DFS commodity. He is more of a Lyoto Machida, sit back, wait, counter strike, and then just wait for the perfect shot type of situation. But if he's a little bit aggressive in searching for his first UFC victory, this could be the guy that we need for our lineup. So I like Souza, and he's definitely a guy that I've been on all week, and I like him even more after the weigh-ins.
And of course, everyone did make weight yesterday, just something to kind of throw out there. So I wanted to ask in chat about if anyone had missed weight. Good comment here about Neil Magny. Says how he limits his opponent's DFS upside with his watching paint dry fight style. I mean, look, it's the one thing that Magny does a great job of is using that length that he does have against a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, Magny's hitting you from across the room, and range is. I would say that Magny knows how to use his length to his advantage. You know how we talk about it all the time, like use what you have, use your physical attributes, and Magny uses his straight shots. He's not a tall, long fighter that likes to just throw hooks from the outside. He hits you with his broomstick jabs, keeping you away. And then he actually has great volume as well. So it's not necessarily a defensive type of striker. He's offensive, but he bounces in and out of range very, very good. I'm just always worried about him getting hit with a big right hand. But outside of that big right hand, I just don't see how Griffin's better than him for 15 minutes.
Marcos says in a Linux interview, he said that he was going to take a different approach on this fight. It feels like Oleinik might play it safe and keep his distance. Does have a noticeable reach advantage in this one, by the way.
A dog is a dog, man. And the way that Oleinik fights, he just goes out there like a madman. He could, and we backed Oleinik against Fabricio Verdun in like a really strange type of situation, and that's where he showcased some distance striking a little bit better. He needs to make some corrections.
Thoughts on Jennifer Maia getting the upset?
Not really with it, man. I'm not really with it. It's a massive step up in competition for Manon Fiorot. I know some people talking about how Manon didn't necessarily, she looked a little stiff at the weigh-ins, or maybe she's hiding an injury. I don't know. I just think that she's somewhat awkward. I just don't see Jennifer Maia doing it, because I think she needs stronger wrestling in a fight like this.
The one thing to note is big cage tonight in Columbus, not the small cage that you're used to seeing at the Apex. So it would be the big cage, like it's a pay-per-view. That's always something to kind of consider depending on the fight. Samuel, appreciate you with the super chat. He says top 2 optimal leverage plays. Enjoy the break. Of course, no UFC next week before we get into UFC 273. A potential leverage play that I would point out, David Dvorak.
Yeah. Okay, Jason, I have to announce this real quick. UFC Europe, which is obviously a verified Twitter, says due to a non-COVID related illness, Ilir Latifi has been removed from his heavyweight bout with Alexei Oleinik at UFC Columbus tonight.
And that is an official UFC account.
So, okay. So now that it's official, now we can adjust our lineups. And I'm a little upset because I like Latifi today. But as you were saying, a pivot to Dvorak is not the worst thing in the world, because Dvorak is a sneaky guy, hits really hard, found tons of finishes on the regional scene. Obviously, it was against low-level competition. But, Jason, there is, some susceptibility of Mateusz Nicolao's, striking defense, where he gets hit and rocked a lot. And I could see him getting knocked down and finish against a guy who just comes forward so often. So I like the pivot to David Dvorak. I would probably like to pivot to maybe Slava Claus a little bit, but obviously we'd have to adjust our lineups a little bit.
Yeah. So, and also we're now down to 11 fight. We're down now 12 fights, excuse me. So that's something to throw into your lineups over there.
Why they have to do that, man?
In terms of going back to Samuel's, in terms of other, leverage type plays, I mentioned about Askarov because I think that, when we're talking about that 9,000 range, he may be the fighter outside Alexa Grasso. I think he's a fighter that people will not be getting to. In terms of other potential leverage spots to look at there.
I say Max Griffin, obviously, because like that's a low salary fighter who everybody's thinking it's going to go the distance. And not many people have a ton of interest in him. But like at the top, Jason, there's not really any ways to get different because everybody likes everybody within that distance. You know what I mean? Like Grasso's the ugly candidate within there. And I think for good reason, to be honest.
Just doing some back end slides here so we can get the website updated a little bit here with this little fight change here. Of course, we're 30 minutes away before lock. Of course, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. You got to play over there at prizepicks.com, and you'll get a free month of also plus platinum when you sign a deposit and play over at PrizePicks. And Pete, Tyler, I put in the run sheet about some little Latifi prop plays on our PrizePicks. Well, we could scratch those out.
Let's hit the under. Let's hit the under on those prop bets for significant strikes.
All right, but there is a significant strikes one that I do like over there. Neil Magny, 64.5. I like the over.
Yeah, I like the over on that, man. I do. I like the over on that.
You know, I also like the Magny under 2 takedowns as well. I think the fight plays out on the feet.
We were hoping that we got to 2.5 because then I'm saying under, but at 2, it's very, very close.
And I would tell you, I did like the under 2 takedowns at Latifi. I did like that spot because I was like, why would you want to play jiu-jitsu with Olenek? You know, I mean, like you'd want to keep that thing on the feet, but yeah, I do like definitely the Neil Magny on the significant strikes line is one line that I really do like over there at PrizePicks. Of course, as I always mention over PrizePicks, you know, you want to try to get on these lines earlier on in the week. Sometimes you can get a better number on a Thursday or Friday as opposed to on a Saturday. But looking at some other significant strikes that maybe stick out to me a little bit. Matt Brown 43.5 is an interesting one to me.
That's got to be more.
Yeah, that to me is an overplay just because I think Bam Bam is just such a tough dude that he's going to be able to take those strikes.
I mean, he's been knocked down in the past, but I just feel like they're going to be, even if it's leg kicks, like you're going to land 20 leg kicks. Then they just need to land 20 shots to the head of body. Yeah, you know, I think that the way that we just lost a fight is extremely interesting because hopefully that there's plenty of dead lineups from Alexei Olenek, from Alir Latifi. This possibly opens the door for leaving more salary on the table because you know people are going to be directly pivoting to the people that are, you know, $100 to $200 close to those fighters. So do not feel obligated to spend all of your salary. Obviously, we want to spend, you know, the majority of it because some of the best options are at the top, but it's okay to be different. If you're sitting there with like $1,500, you know, dollars left over on your lineup, that's fine, especially on a slate like this where we just lost a fight.
By the way, and for those who are not aware, Latifi was removed due to a non-COVID related illness. So maybe something happened with his weight cut. Maybe he just woke up this morning, just, you know, something happened. You know, these things happen, you know, just like us, we wake up in the morning, maybe we don't feel the best. So that definitely does change a little bit of things up here for this slate here. Of course, if you do got any questions, line those up in the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Last spot for DraftKings GGP, Borishev, well, Latifi not exists anymore, and Dana. I would prefer Borishev over Dana.
Yeah, it's Borishev. Slava clause for me. I think that there's tremendous KO upside in a situation where Mark Jacasey's been hurt, but he's been subbed. This could be a situation where he's forced to strike and then possibly gets KO'd. So, yeah, I can't wait to see that fight. That's an interesting spot, especially for the underdog. Like, Jacasey's well-rounded and faced some legitimate competition. Rafael Fiziev, he needs to go to the takedown route, but I can't wait for it.
By the way, boss man, just hit me up to let me know. Everything is updated on the website now with Latifi and Olenek being scratched. You can go over there right now. If you're an Awesemo Plus member, You can see those access. Of course, you're not an Awesemo Plus member. You can sign up right at awesemo.com/join. You get a weekly pass for $29.95. Gives you access to everything that's over at awesemo.com. Of course, if you just want an MMA weekly pass, those start as low as $2.95 a weekly. Next up, I've seen something. This has been a comment a lot of people brought up about Gutierrez and Dana, of how will Dana counter those leg kicks of Gutierrez?
Well, I'll tell you, not a lot of people are good at checking leg kicks, which is why a guy in Chris Gutierrez has found so much success. And it seems so silly and simple, but it's a timing situation, is where when you're so focused on being offensive, sometimes you just completely misread your opponent and then you get buried in the leg. And then when you take a couple, the next ones, they're just compounding and they're worse. It's like a snowball going down the mountain. The more you get kicked, the worse it is. But he needs to check it. So he needs to turn his leg outwards. So he needs to, check it with his knee or his shin. But straight shots down the middle, and make Gutierrez be a little bit more selective, because if he's sitting there from distance just burying kicks, he's going to have a field day. But if he has to be worried about, catching a big right hand down the middle or getting planted on his butt, then maybe the output's a little bit less. And that's where you could, somewhat nullify his game. But, crowding the kicker is something we always talk about. You got to crowd the kicker. You got to put them on their back foot. You got to close that space and incorporate your shots. But it's a tough game to play for sure.
I'll tell you, the one thing about this slate is I was just looking at the updated ownership projections. There is one clear way to get different from the field.
I don't have it pulled up. I would love to hear it.
Well, it's getting rid of it's not, getting away from Blaydes, first off. But the problem is, man, God, if it's just a takedown, rinse and repeat, control time, he could rack up just a crap ton of points.
Yeah, I mean, so like Hunter Man was going back and forth with me on Twitter talking to me about it. And he's like, we haven't seen Daukaus tested in the takedown defense department, but that doesn't mean that it's like necessarily horrible. Like, obviously he knows the game plan of going up against Curtis Blaydes, which is absolutely true. And Curtis Blaydes can get suckered into staying on the feet a little bit more, and he's going to be at a speed disadvantage. So like Chris Daukaus could ruin this whole slate for everybody. I don't hate it, because recency bias is a main thing where everybody liked Chris Daukaus. He loses one fight to, Derek Lewis, and now everybody's off him. I personally think the skill set of Curtis Blaydes is just so difficult for a lot of people to deal with. Let's also bring up, how Chris Daukaus has a fantastic submission skill set as well. He just, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His brother Kyle is the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, in my opinion, and you see it more in his fights. But that doesn't mean that it's like, absent from his game. There could be a guillotine there. There could be some, an uppercut, a knee that leads to some Curtis Blaydes hesitancy, and we'll have to see. But I'm leaning heavily towards Curtis Blaydes getting it done, and I think the chalk makes sense this week. Aliashab and Curtis Blaydes, absolutely. But if you want to get different, as Jason says, take some shots on a guy that was touted by everybody, including ourselves. Like I like Chris Daukaus. I just don't necessarily know if this is a favorable matchup for him.
I mean, the thing with Daukaus, to me, if he's going to get this thing done, he's got to get it done within the first 10 minutes. If you tell me this fight hits minute 11, to me, it's Curtis Blaydes. I mean, look, Curtis has got, I want to say it's like 16 pounds on Daukaus from the weigh-ins. And Blaydes is typically a guy who actually cuts weight. 259, you wouldn't imagine that he had to cut any weight, for this one. I mean, but the one thing, and you bring up the jiu-jitsu aspect of Chris Daukaus is, we have no idea what Curtis Blaydes can do in terms of jiu-jitsu, because we just haven't seen it. There's been times where he's been in these dominating positions on the mat where he's just using ground and pound that you just go, God, man, it's there.
Yeah.
Like he is giving you the neck, bro. Like, and it's like, and I said this jokingly on Thursday, but when it comes to Curtis Blaydes, he's just not going to jiu-jitsu you, bro.
Yeah, he's not. He's gonna look for a TKO finish, and I think incorporating a rear naked choke, an arm triangle choke, as we discussed, would definitely help him. And, give somebody else something to think about rather than just, pitter patter shots getting back to the feet. And I'm excited for the fight just because there are some unknowns surrounding. But I fully expect Curtis Blaydes to just be a little too much for Chris Daukaus on the mat.
Dana or Dvorak?
I think that Dvorak kind of has like some sneaky up. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're looking at box scores and looking at how Danaz knocking everybody out, but that's against low level competition. And Chris Gutierrez is a very, very talented striker. I think that Dvorak has the sneakier upside. So I'm going to lean Dvorak, whereas I think the field's going to say, I think the field's going to disagree with me.
By the way, are you hearing this going on in my background?
No, I didn't. I think I heard something, but no, hey, you got the Jets going on?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Blue Angels are going right now.
Oh, man. Hey.
Yeah.
That's all right, though.
It's actually, for an air fest, it's been pretty quiet today. I'm actually surprised.
The practice was way worse. I mean,
yeah, the practice was, way worse. Yeah, it's actually been pretty quiet. Even my wife said, she goes, it's kind of quiet. I was like, you're ruining it. I go, don't worry. Right when I get on the air, that's when they're going to start flying.
I hope that there's tons of dead lineups between the Oleinik and Latifi fight.
Yeah,
because we haven't gotten a tweet from DraftKings, have we?
Usually they send an email out when
I didn't get nothing.
When you're in a contest.
I did not get anything.
Of course, you do got any questions, be sure to line those up in chat. How do we feel about the DraftKings GPP? I do like getting there in a GPP situation, just because of the knockout upside.
For sure.
Joe, I appreciate you in the super chat. He goes, what do you guys think for Bruno Souza for the big GPP?
Wow, Joe. What's up, Joe? Hope you've been well. And I will say that Bruno Souza is kind of a fighter that is going completely overlooked, and I like him to win the fight. There's a ton of unknowns, and unknowns means leverage for us because he has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has a guy who has terrible cardio, and he looked terrible on the scales yesterday. His opponent did. I think it's a nice spot for us to get to Souza. But if Souza is just comfortable sitting on the outside, that's my one worry. But I like Souza, so I will say yes. I like it.
Sean mentioned about my realtor was smart. First off, where I live in a circle street that's not a gated community, so we have no HOA. Can't get that in South Tampa. So, I would take that in a heartbeat because especially when you have a cop that lives next door and he brings home his car every day, bro, no one comes in our area. No one.
Awesome. Yeah, right.
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I get all these people want to buy my house. I'm like, 5 million.
Yeah.
5 million.
Damn, Jason. Jason's over here flexing with a $5 million.
No. I'm just going to throw out a crazy number. I get all these calls, because
Damn, Jason.
It's Florida, but I'm like, I'm just sitting there because I know what they're going to offer. I'm like, no, man. If I'm going to buy a house anywhere near me, it's $500,000.
Damn,
you're gonna have to pay for my house and another house.
I like it. Goodness gracious.
Oh,
all right, let's bank a tournament so we can get ourselves a $5 million house. What the hell's going on?
I don't want a $5 million house. I'd be good with $1 million house.
You got one apparently. So
let's see here. Brown or Barberena? I think this fight is key to the slate. I do prefer Matt Brown. I do wonder if Matt Brown might try to get this fight to the ground.
I don't care who I get in my lineups. I'm favoring Matt Brown because it's the hometown fight. I think that he has a little bit more ways to win. I think he's fought the better guys the past 3 fights. But yeah, I have basically 50-50 of that fight.
Yeah, it's a fight that I do find myself I feel like you have to get to it. Nikolai or Hossa on DraftKings?
Yeah, Hossa's a person we're not talking about. And I would say that Hossa, I mean, initially my first thing when I saw the fight card was like, oh, Mateusz Nicolau in a spot like this, maybe I could get to him because he has some takedown upside. But I just see how he's constantly on the back foot, accepting position. And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not, especially when his two wins, his most recent wins, are somewhat gifted decisions. So I'm like, yeah, I just think that the judges are going to like what Dvorak's doing, the forward pressure and the leg kicks.
Of course, both Pete and I would love to see those winning screenshots once the fights are over. Want to see you get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame today. Of course, what you got to do is be rocking that Awesemo avatar on your DFS profile. Tweet your wins at Awesemo HOF. And when you finish in the top 3 of the contest with over 5,000 contestants, you'll win a free month of Awesemo plus Platinum. Check out some of the people who recently gone into Awesemo Hall of Fame. Cody taking down an NBA contest over there on FanDuel, winning $500. Our guy Nolan taking down a contest over with the NCAA DFS projection we have over there, taking down first place. Congratulations, Nolan. Also, Nikki taking down third place in a UFC captain contest. Kudos to Nikki with what you were able to do there. Scott taking down a NBA contest over there. Had a great day over there. With his 10 entries, walking away with 12,500. Also, Brandon with his 4-leg parlay. So kudos to everyone that has gone into the Awesemo Hall of Fame over the past couple of days. We want to see you go into Awesemo Hall of Fame on later on today. What's that weird look you got, Pete?
Bro, how many people live in Florida that pay attention to our shows or are part of our community? You notice everybody's like, oh, I'm in Lauderdale, I'm in Miami, I'm in Tampa. What the hell's going on? Like everybody's in, like we got Lewis in here. Lewis,
they're trying to tell you something, Pete.
Bro, trust me. My uncle lives in Lauderdale. I want to move every single day. Luis Pereiro says, Jason, I'm a realtor in Tampa. Was just in South Tampa this morning showing. Don't need to see your home. $500,000 easy. So,
bro, real estate down here is crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, it's it's there's a house behind me that's on the market. I saw the price tag. I was like, good Lord.
Damn. Look at everybody's Pompano Beach, Florida, South Florida, Port Richey, Orlando. Hey, man, maybe everybody just flocks from Jason. Jason's just like the celebrity here, and he's bringing all his buddies, and I'm cool with it.
Hey, tell you, bro, I don't know if you've noticed, people, we're a little open here.
Yeah.
And first off, Pete, I don't need a snowplow, snow shovel. Like, you might have to brush off the car in the morning. I don't have to do that, bro.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's right, man. You just got to make sure, hope and pray that house doesn't go, headed somewhere else with some of these storms. But besides that, I think that Florida is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, when it comes hurricane season, yes, yeah, that is. Jeffrey asks, Wood or McMahon for last fighter in?
Wood or McMahon?
I feel like
Who the hell's Wood?
I feel like McMahon's the better GPP play.
I'm sitting here. I'm saying, am I an idiot? Who the hell's Wood? I'm so used to her being called Wood. Yeah, I'd say McMahon.
Yeah, I'm with you. Super chat here from Let's You 420. Favorite FanDuel MVP? It's Blaydes for me.
No, it's Aliashab, his read for me.
The reason I would say Blaydes is I think Daukaus can survive, and where Blaydes can rack up points. That's why I put it there. Okay. But early on DraftKings, early finish is something to put in there for the Russian.
That is true. Jason is the FanDuel guy, but I still say Aliashab.
Yeah, I these days I'm primarily playing on DraftKings.
Really, huh?
Ever since FanDuel took out the takedown defenses, like that was like my one edge over there, man.
I know. I just like different scoring. You know what I mean? I just think like let me and Jason create the correct scoring, and I think like every minute that ticks by, because it's pretty bad when like a fighter wins too quickly, right? Because sometimes they don't get like the best score that they should. I think like within the first minute should be a certain amount, second minute, and so on and so forth. Every minute that goes on should be less and less. And I think that's a way to get completely different and make things a little bit stronger so that you're not like, wow, they won too quick. And now most of my lineups are kind of screwed.
Someone goes, what if Blaydes shocks up to say submission finish, which by the way, I'm surprised there's not a higher line on Blaydes wins by submission. As low as plus 800.
Yeah, that to me, in my mind, I was thinking it was plus 1,500. Like he hasn't done it.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, it's got to be way more than that.
Especially because Daukaus is a black belt.
Yeah, and when have you seen Blaydes in competition play jiu-jitsu?
Zero.
it's just it's a wrestler with ground and pound. I mean, that's just the way he's been. I mean, look, fighters always evolve, but I just feel like we know who Curtis Blaydes is.
For sure.
Last man in, Souza, Nikolai, or Dvorak. I would go Dvorak in that situation.
Dvorak for me.
Would Fierro be a good pivot off Blaydes for a DraftKings single entry GPP?
I don't know. And excuse me, you guys know that I love Manon Fierro, but I just feel like she's priced so high, and it's like elevated competition, and Maya is going to test her. So like I expect Manon Fierro to win. I just don't know if she scores well. I think the other 9,000 options are somewhat no-brainers, and that's like ultra contrarian is just going to a Manon Fierro.
Yeah. Let's see here. Will you fade the main event in GPP? No.
No,
so that's a big no
like,
for me.
I'm like 75% Curtis Blaydes.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, that's a funny comment. We'll talk about that off air. Let's see here. Try to get some more questions in here. Brown or Dana DraftKings GPP last in?
It's got to be Matt Brown, and it's not necessarily that I have so much faith in him. I mean, I'm picking him to win. It's just the matchup. I think it's going to end inside the distance.
Yeah. Diakese or McMahon?
Now, that's a guy we haven't talked about really, and I think that Marchikasi can win this fight. Like, you know, you see Slavaclaus get taken down, but he works back to his feet, and Jakase's a very talented striker. I'm still saying McMahon, but like Jakase's like my third or fourth most exposed underdog, just because I feel like there are some question marks surrounding Slavaclaus.
Let's see here. Joe says last spot, big GPP with 8.3 remaining. Souza or Griffin? Souza for me.
Man. Souza or Griffin? I'm going to say Souza. I got more faith in Souza doing it than I do Max Griffin.
JD, appreciate that. I had to take the dog to the vet yesterday. Hasn't been eating. So I had to take it's always, you know, dog knows when we get to the vet, by the way. He knows. Right when we pull in the parking lot, he goes, I know where we're at.
Yeah.
More points than a loss. Calderwood, McMahon, or Daukaus?
Calderwood.
It's McMahon or Calderwood for me.
Same.
Or Wood.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't heard, Latifi and Olenek is canceled, so please get them out of your lineups. And Sam, with an awesome question, how are you guys? How's your exposure to Khizriev? I'm playing light today, and I almost have him in 100% of my lineups. I love him.
Way over the field. Let's just say that. Way over the field. Way over the field. Yeah. If he does not come through, I probably won't check my lineups the rest of the night. But what's the point?
I tell you what, I was watching film on his opponent. His opponent hits damn hard. He has a great right hand. I just think that his takedown defense is going to fail him in a matchup like this, especially last minute.
Dana or Brown? To me, I like the Matt Brown upside in terms of that one.
Same.
Dana, I mean, I think it just really comes down to is how does he counter those leg kicks? Because those leg kicks are going to come from Chris Gutierrez. Can he may potentially, time one of those leg kicks and throw an overhand at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, Brown, when you fight in front of your hometown, like some fighters thrive in it, some fighters crumble, and I love it. And I feel like Matt Brown is one of those guys that may rise to the occasion.
Even though Matt Brown has basically let it be known that his fighting days are nowhere near from over, I do wonder
He said 8 fights less, but he wants to sign an 8-fight. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Come on, you know how this is. You never believe retirements. Never believe retirements. James Vick has come out of retirement for a boxing match.
No. Stop.
Yeah, I think you just literally had a response a lot of people had. No, why?
I'm worried about fighter safety, to be honest. And there needs to be a time where commissions need to kind of make that decision for some fighters.
It's happened.
It has, and probably not as much as it needs to, though. We see a lot of people that like get tossed around hard matchup to hard matchup and are just being used as a resume builder.
I mean, look, I think that there's also sometimes there becomes pressure on the commission side. Most recently, I think it was when Melvin Gillard's license got denied by the state of Florida when he was going to have BKFC fight.
Yeah. We know that situation well, don't we?
Yep. Jeffrey, Fearoat or Blaydes? It's Blaydes by far for me.
Blaydes. And, undercover MVP, we have a great question. Has a -1,000 fighter ever lost? Yes. Maria Agapova lost to Shayna Dobson. Do you remember how horrible that was? That line got to like almost -1,500 or something silly like that. And Shayna Dobson looked like she didn't belong in the octagon. And then all of a sudden it had an outlier performance. So it can definitely happen. And I think that Tululan is a guy nobody's going to be on to today. I think for good reason, but if he lands that big right hand, it could definitely happen.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking at some of the biggest upsets in just combat sports history. Rousey was -1,400 against Holly Holm.
Pena, Amanda Nunes, obviously.
Agapova -1,400. GSP was -1,300 when he lost to Matt Serra back at UFC 69.
Yep.
Amanda Nunes was 11-1 favor against Juliana Pena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it happens, man.
Devontae Smith was
get blown out of proportion,
Yeah. Devontae Smith was a 10-1 favor against Kama Worthy.
That was crazy too.
Han Barrow was a 10-1 favor against TJ Dillashaw.
Oh my God, he was that much over TJ? I remember watching that fight.
Looking at some other ones that are all UFC related. BJ Penn was a 9-1 favorite against Frankie Edgar.
Those odds don't enter the cage with you guys. So, and this is the craziest sport. We see injuries happen. We see people slip, cuts. We have X factors that we really can't, account for in other sports.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, it's one of these things of some of these massive favorites, and you see it happen on Bellator undercards a lot, too. So, where guys just they get in situations where they just stylistically in a matchup that they think they're going to win, and it just doesn't happen. But we're under 2 minutes here before lock. Hopefully everyone has great lineups. Of course, I'll be sitting here in the home office as I'm grinding away doing some work here. Of course, we'll be over to Score chat along with you, Pete. Anything you want to mention, because we are not here next week?
Oh man, we're not here next week. And we just want to say thanks, guys, for the continued support. You guys are great. Send us those screenshots. Let us know how you're doing. Join our Discord. It's an awesome community we got over there, a part of Awesemo.com. And again, good luck today. Make some money. And we got to make that $500,000 to move down next to Jason, apparently.
bro, you don't want to move Tampa right now is a bad idea. Unless you got some money.
Yeah.
Just expect to drop $500,000 on a house.
Yeah, right. Hey, we gotta make it today. Let's do it. We gotta make it today.
Exactly. Of course, no show next week as no UFC card. So we'll be back here in 2 weeks for UFC 273. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks on the UFC 273 Strategy Show. Have a great day, everybody.